Good morning, everybody. Very good to see you all and wonderful to be here today. I am Keneilwe Mekgwe, and thank you for the wonderful panel that we've got here. No pressure to the telcos. I come from MTN Group, and I really am enjoying being here this morning. I'd like to start by saying thank you for the conversation that you sparked on mobile money and its impact on the continent. I come from MTN Group, and we are present in 21 markets in Africa and the Middle East, and we have our product called mobile money. We call it Momo, and we have transcended having inspiration from East Africa, moving it across the continent really, and seeing the power of mobile money. It's just amazing how it touches lives. We've just come back from a couple of trips with my team, and in Uganda, really for me, is where I drew the inspiration and saw the power of mobile money. We have colleagues who get onto transport modes called boda bodas. So these are like bikes, and you pay for your boda boda using your Momo account. You pay for utilities using your Momo account, you pay for electricity, you pay for your children's school fees, and really for us, the digital disruptions are allowing us as a telco to really change the game and impact lives. So it's really, really wonderful to hear the conversations about that, and we are trying to do our part. And it's come out of no longer competing as brands, but saying as power of brands, being the Vodafone space and us in the MTN space, how can we collaboratively change the lives of our customers in Africa and the Middle East? Today, I'd like to chat to you guys all about my own learnings about online brand criticism. So there are a lot of brands that obviously start out big and small and have this KPI to say social media. What do we do in the social media space? Who do we become as brands when we dare enter that world of being online? First of all, I believe as human beings, we act differently. We don't want to be judged. Don't tell me all the negative things that you think about me. As I walked onto the stage, you've already made up some sort of mind about who she is, why she's dressed, why she got no heels, etc., etc. And that's just who we are as human beings. But then there are brands, right? And I believe that we can't apply those nuances into brands. Brands have a life of their own, and we should really allow them to be. And I believe that our own thoughts should not necessarily impact the brands that we have come to love and trust. So, as a brand, if you do dare to go online, you can't have a talk to the hand, I'm not listening. Brand criticism is an actual critical part of us evolving and understanding who our consumers are and what we offer to them. So brand criticism for me is not a bad thing. I come from MTN. We've been in the news for many bad incidences. There's been rumors about MTN for even more bad things. But what I want to say today is really as a brand that is the most loved in Africa, as voted by Brand Finance, we had to be resilient about this. So the nature of brand management is talked about in many textbooks, etc. But today I'd really like to look at it differently because the nature of technology is changing how we interact as brands and how brands are online. A brand used to be just a symbol or a sign that differentiates ourselves from one brand to the other. Today, it's become like a whole human being that lives online, that lives offline, and it's about the experiences that we can actually give our customers. So with that, criticizing a brand is something that we all probably have done. We were chatting with the ladies in the morning, and getting to know each other, they realized that I'm from MTN. I got interesting feedback about, yeah, I'm always complaining on your site. I'm like, great, what have you said? Because for me, when you do complain, you help us understand what we're not getting right. And as a brand grows bigger and bigger, sometimes we just lose the essence of who we are, and we are who we are because of our customers. So it takes us back to basics. It actually just makes us humble and realize where we're going wrong in order to fix it. So I don't think there's anything wrong really with being criticized on brand. In fact, one of the great learnings from our team has been the complaints from our customers that has helped us build some of the solutions that we're getting into today. So I say we cannot ignore that in today's world, a brand no longer competes with its verticals. So I'm no longer hacked to hear how Vodacom is doing so well on M-Pesa when I'm actually from MTN. I'm looking at who else is playing in the space. We're competing with over-the-top players, these OTTs, so your Facebooks, your Twitters. How are they getting into the, for example, payment space, because it was something that we've discussed this morning, and how are they aiming to change lives? So we actually draw inspiration from those who used to be deemed as competitors. And I believe in the power of collaboration a lot. The more that we can do to change lives, the better it is for the people that live on the planet that we live on. So I just believe that OTTs are one of our customers that we should be learning from. So brand evolution, what I believe is something that I have walked the journey with a brand like MTN is just seeing it grow from starting in 1994 by a couple of wildly inspired, probably a little bit crazy, people who believe that they can come in and disrupt the telco industry. What have we learned as a brand over the years to start in South Africa and be present in 21 countries in Africa and the Middle East? I mean, this is all just over 20 years. It's never been done before. It's something that we continue to invest in, and it's something that really makes us wake up each and every morning. The evolution of our brand online is something that is even wilder, because we're no longer just accessible to the markets that we're in. We are accessible all over the world. People can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, they can comment, they can like us, they can unlike us. And it was a little bit, as a brand and marketing person, it was a little bit painful to hear in the beginning when the news was not great. And for me, as a brand person, really the eternal optimist, I would always struggle to hear the bad news. And obviously growing in my career, I've learned to see how complaints can actually help us grow as brands. And I see how compliments also strengthen our brands, but I've learned even bigger lessons from our brand when we got complaints from our customers. One thing that I also saw, we're big with CSI. It used to be just about going into a community for one day and leaving, doing something really, really nice, that good feel moment that you get to build a school or feed a child or whatever it is that makes your brand tick. We realize that it's got to be so much more. We need to build solutions that are clearly invested in the communities in which we operate in. Otherwise, we're just going to die. Competition is tough. And as it was spoken about earlier this morning, loyalty is really not a thing anymore. Customers, clients, be them young or old, they're really looking for brands that resonate with them, brands that they see authenticity from, and brands that they can learn stuff from. So it's also okay when a brand leaves you. It's no longer about us wanting you to be on our network for the 20-odd years that we've been on the network for, but it's more about what value have we given to you as our customer. So I just want to show you a few examples in terms of what we have learned as a brand. I just wanted a show of hands in terms of making this interactive. Anyone in the room that has heard about the challenges that came with MTN Nigeria? By a show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got over 10 hands. And this adds on to what I wanted to chat about today, which is very interesting how the bad news always sells better. How many of you in the same room know about MTN Shorts? One person. 2. Wonderful. So MTN Nigeria, just as an example, is something that has been going on. I'm not a legal expert, I won't give you the breakdown, but challenges in Nigeria means, so we as a brand have been growing, and the authorities in Nigeria have been speaking to our management team in Nigeria about fines and more taxes that they believe we should be paying. That story is spreading like wildfire everywhere, unfortunately. But then the same organization is building and creating a platform for video services, and that is MTN Shorts. 1, 2 people know about MTN Shorts. MTN Shorts is a short-form video service that we have launched in 6 markets in Africa. We're live in South Africa, we're live in Nigeria, we're live in Uganda, we're live in Cameroon, we're live in Sudan, as well as Ghana. In these 6 markets, we've got various nuances. Sudan is our most conservative market, Middle Eastern, and they are very religious and very careful in terms of what can go live and not. I'm sure most of us are aware of the cultural and political sensitivities that are in Sudan, and yet we're live with this MTN Shorts in Sudan. Cameroon is a francophone market, French-speaking, very proud to be French, and looking for authentically French content, and MTN Shorts is live in Cameroon. The other 4 markets are Anglophone, but why I'm talking about MTN Shorts with you guys today is to tell you about what we learned about brand criticism. So we saw a lot of adverts that were being served and a lot of research that we went into about consumption of video content, and what we noticed were people were speaking about data. The conservative nature of people not really willing to trust brands about what type of videos are out there and what they enjoy for entertainment. We saw this as an opportunity to build something, and build something that is going to live on probably way after our tenure. So MTN Shorts is a solution that was built by 4 crazy people, of which I'm one of them and blessed to be. And in this team, people really wanted to find a solution that customers can engage with, and also, for a change, make sure that when you're a content provider, you get the most share of the profits. So you can imagine this talk that we had to have with our group CEO. Why are you letting the customer get more money than MTN using the MTN network while we're trying to grow with voice and data? How is this thing going to work? We went to various organizational meetings to try and show how MTN Shorts could work. We were shot down probably 17 times, and we kept on getting up, and we believed in the story of MTN Shorts. So I stand here representing a group of really, really passionate people about Africa to launch this service, and we had a lot of campaigns that finally went live to speak about MTN Shorts. So from a short-form video market, what we actually looked at doing is saying, how do we give our customers short-form video in a way that they can really, really get interested in? So we got a platform that was already existing because we had no budget. We were only allowed to launch in 1 market. We were only actually supposed to be in 1 market. Then MTN Shorts did its own thing. Other opcos heard about it. Other opcos seeing it working in their market. Other opcos wanted it. So we pushed and we pushed and we pushed from that criticism of video, chow so much data, and what are we gonna do, and how are you gonna download it, and what about clearing your cache, and how much time are you going to have one video, what about the refresh rates, where are we gonna get this content, and who are we gonna pay? So many questions started to arise out of it, and instead of us becoming defensive as a team, we started marking these things and getting to the bottom of it, one by one. Like I said, we're talking a multinational, 4 people in a really small team trying to convince the rest of the organization that short-form video content is really a thing. What did we learn? We looked at WhatsApp, we looked at ourselves. My video consumption was very, very low. I never had time for TV. I'm a new mom, but I saw that with my son, when I was pregnant with him, most of the time I would be watching videos about the growth of the baby, and giving birth, different types of information, where to give birth. I resonated with seeing things on video rather than text and SMS. So we learned a lot from those habits as well, and how we build MTN Shorts was, it's a subscription service with various channels. So we've got comedy, we've got sports, we've got health information, motivation information. We started learning about what do our consumers really want to hear about. And obviously being African, one of the top things that were coming up was entrepreneurship. Getting ready for the work world, being the youngest continent in the world. Many of our young people were looking for solutions to say, how do I get ready for an interview? What kind of content is in there? We plopped it into one platform and tested it. We put it out there. People started downloading these videos like we ourselves could not believe. There's so many times that we caught ourselves catching each other's chair on some, oh my gosh, MTN Shorts is really, really working. And like I said, this all came from a scenario where we were being criticized ourselves and told that MTN Shorts will never work, and told that MTN as a brand will never be able to play in the space because we're not known for video. We're not a multi-choice. We're not a MNV, MVNO, and all of that. But we continue to push through. And like I said, we've got over 400,000 customers across 6 markets in Africa. We've got Francophone, we've got a conservative market, and we've launched MTN Shorts. And like I said, bad news unfortunately always sells a lot more than good news ever could. When you talk good news, we're talking about things like CSI and how we engage with our customers, etc. And that can get a click, that could get a like, that could even get a dislike. But what we did as a team was really throw our passion into seeing what we can offer as a compelling service to our customers. And what we learned was, most of the time as MTN, we used to take the majority of the profit. So what we did this time was to say, as a content provider, let's give a favorable revenue share so that our content producers are able to actually invest in that content themselves to create more content so that more consumers can find compelling content on this MTN Shorts platform. So for me, criticism actually got MTN Shorts to be where it is today. And then there's another example of what we do as a brand, which is 21 Days of Yellow K. In June, every single year, MTN is around Africa and the Middle East get together to do CSI. So we build schools, we build community halls, we do feeding schemes, we go and spend time mentoring children. And with the technology growth today, we actually speak about robotics as well as IoT solutions and break it down in a way that kids and people in the communities can resonate with and understand. This is something that is not really big on social media. Like I said in my previous slides before, what sells is usually the bad news. This is why I got most people understanding what was going on or have heard about the MTN Nigeria saga versus knowing about an evolution that we're going to, which is in MTN Shorts, as well as within this MTN 21 Days of Yellow K. So for me, it's really something that we are learning about each and every time. And as a solution, we're aiming to grow it, launch in more markets, and also derive the learnings from these 6 markets that we have already launched in to see how we can grow it from strength to strength. So for me, marketing in an always on environment has come with a lot of learnings, which I wanted to bring your attention to today. I think whenever you launch products and services, you really need to listen to your customer. Listening is a skill. Like I started in my beginning slide, we're always on that talk to the hand. I don't want to be criticized, but I realize with criticism comes a lot of learning. So when you listen to your customer, you're more able to build solutions that are going to give value to them. So when you keep your customers engaged, it's okay. Let them like your comment. Let them share your content. Let them unlike your comment. Let them say negative things. Don't ever take it personally, but use that information to understand. These are how we build real customer insights around our products and services. Rather than just focusing on being the most shared, being the most liked, we should actually find out what are our customers saying about our service. And it's usually in those negative comments that we find golden opportunities to learn. So my husband likes to give me the saying once in a while, I used to be this person who used to thrive on absolutely winning the conversation. If we have an argument in the house, I would totally be that girl who's like listening so that I could respond. My husband would always teach me something. He'd say, babe, never miss an opportunity to learn in arguments. I never used to get it. I'd be like, but no ways. If I do this, I'm letting him have it. I'm letting him win. But now in this career, I've learned a lot more about what it means to have an opportunity to learn. It means that even if I feel like I'm being criticized, there's actually a lot of learnings and things that I am not seeing. Of course, I'm a woman. I'm superwoman. What can you tell me? Really? But now I see that being superwoman means I'm not seeing things with his fresh pair of eyes. I'm not seeing it in a way a guy could see it. So most of the times, even in brands, we should see how important it is that we build solutions that are sustainable, but in the way we should have the pair of eyes that our customers have, instead of ourselves. As MTN, we would usually build our customer services so internally focused on what we as a brand think would mean value to our clients, instead of hearing what the clients are looking for, and they've done half the job for us. We'd pay research agencies, we'd pay consulting agencies to come and give us large presentations about what this is, instead of really listening to our customers. So what I'm trying to say to you today, there's a lot of value that goes into listening to your customers. And that golden opportunity, don't ever let it go. And when you do have great news to share, never be too shy to share it. What I realized about MTN as a brand, they used to have this saying that we should, as an ethos, never be a chest-beating brand. But by doing so, you become too humble and you allow people to speak about your brand and the brand doesn't speak about itself. So what I'd like to share with you today is it's okay to share the good news. People actually thrive and still love good old good news. So when you do right in the community, when you do right by your brands, I really believe that it is a good thing. It is a good thing to share those great stories. We hear too much in the media about what is negative, but those good stories should be backed up about real data. How are you really impacting lives? How are you really investing in the communities that you operate in? I gave you an example of MTN Shorts. How are you really investing in content producers, content creators, and the video space? How are you going to turn this thing on its head? And how are you going to, most of all, be bold enough to take a stand and do something different? Like I said to you all, our group CEO, the management, our board, they have a lot of responsibility. They never really believed in MTN Shorts. So we had to prove the case study. We had to get the numbers from nowhere. We had to work with no budgets. And like I said, we've got over 400,000 customers. We're live in 6 markets in Africa, and there are more markets to come next year. So it's okay for your brand to be criticized, and you should learn from it. Every time that you think it's okay or negative, realize that there's bigger strength coming from the criticism online. So I'd just like to find out from you guys if you have any questions today.
Hi, Lucy May from Namibia Breweries, the digital marketing manager. Quick question on the shorts. I would like to understand a bit more the mechanics behind. Is it content generated by consumers, and is there a filtering that you have in terms of if it should be on the platform or not? Or do you use artificial intelligence to filter under which, or classify it, under which, if it's a tech, if it's health related, if CSI, what are the mechanics behind that?
Okay, so if I understand your question correctly, or maybe if I can give more examples, my mic's going crazy, so I'm going to hold it like that if it's cool. So how we built it, we used an already existing platform called MTN Play. And it's content that we get from content creators that we source from content aggregators. Okay. So a content provider would come through an aggregator because it helps us in an admin way to actually filter the information. There is a formal process of content vetting. So we're a family brand as MTN, so we would not allow things that are obscene, that are offensive, that are politically incorrect. So you won't find a Malusi Gigaba kind of video flighting on MTN Shorts. So we do have a vetting system that's in place, and it is a subscription service. So what happens typically is you go onto MTN Play, and under MTN Play, you've got a link called MTN Shorts. You get onto the MTN Shorts, and you see them classified according to categories of interest. So we've got comedy and the various verticals around that.
So it's not real time?
It's not real time
Okay.
at the moment. We're still building the solution.
Okay,
and
cool.
then artificial intelligence is the key one that you mentioned. We're still working on the mechanics, but what we need is an actual platform that's dedicated to shorts.
For that.
But if you remember, like I said, my team and I were like the startup within a really great and big organization. So we work with literally nothing. We needed to use a platform that was already existing. There are many platforms that we've researched and have found are actually going to be better in terms of customer experience and then clicking through directly and using social to get onto MTN Shorts. Those are going to be something that we will do as phase 2s and 3s after we've gathered the insights on MTN Shorts.
Cool, thanks. Cool. Yeah.
Any other questions? Got a question.
Are you looking for more content providers?
100%.
Will you be willing to talk to me?
Actually, ironically, you're sitting next to our content lead, Khomotso, and I think in the networking session would be a great opportunity to hear more about the content that you do offer. Our policy has always been to really have distinct African content for Africans by Africans. The offering for MTN Shorts really prides itself. Like I said, we have a lot of youth in the country that are unemployed. We want them to be self-employed. So if I make a quick example with you, what we did when we launched MTN Shorts in Nigeria, we had a lot of content providers in the room, and it was really exciting for us to come back around 6 months later and see a couple of young people that came in wearing shorts and slops and really, really cool African print, come back wearing suits and ties and running sustainable businesses. This is the backbone of MTN Shorts. We empower Africans for African consumers to get benefits from. So by all means, please do chat to Khomotso and let's see if we do have any synergies that we can collaborate on. Thank you.
You mentioned you were in different countries in Africa. Which countries are they? Did I miss
In
it?
terms of where we're live with MTN Shorts,
Yeah.
we're live in South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Sudan, Ghana, I mentioned Ghana, Cameroon,
Okay.
6 markets.
Malawi? No.
Where we don't have presence in MTN in Malawi.
Uganda.
Any other questions, comments? As I blush and realize my husband, who told me how to learn about the golden opportunities, is standing there watching me. Oh dear. I hope you know, baby, I have learned from what you said. I do learn from the golden opportunities in arguments.
Can I know how many subscriptions there are from South Africa?
From South Africa,
Exclusively.
excuse me?
Only from South Africa, how many subscriptions you have, and then I'll have another question.
Okay, perfect. In South Africa, we've
Roughly.
got our second biggest market in SA. I was looking at the reports and we had about 48,000 paying subscribers out of a pool of 185. And that grows and it fluctuates depending on the content that's there.
Okay, and you do different content for different markets, or is universal?
So we launched the proposition to actually focus per market. So South African content will be in South Africa,
Customer.
Ghanaian content will be in Ghana, Nigerian content, etc.
Okay.
And the reason for that was we did not want to let the Nigerian market flood the rest of the markets. We're very passionate about letting the local ecosystems grow and letting the local content creators have an opportunity to grow themselves. So the overall vision is to have one super platform that feeds content from the various markets, but we're not there yet because it's still very critical for us to build the local ecosystems.
Cool, thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions, comments? I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keneilwe Mekgwe, representing MTN Shorts team, and I'd like to thank you for your time and attention today.